Hi to all, and welcome to Technology Track. I'm Arvin Kamburi, as I said, and I will be co-host for this session. And in this track on technology, we will look at a couple of interesting topics which might interest some of you. We will start in a couple of minutes. I see our moderator, Stephanie Borsaila, is here now for the first session. And she will moderate the first 15-minute session, which will be on online meeting platforms, cost, usability, and functionality. Steph will be with you soon. Okay, Steph, you can maybe join us audio so we can hear something.
Thanks, Arvin. Hi, everyone. Hello again. It's a pleasure to be with you all today and pleasure to have you at this conference. Time is very, very limited in these sessions, so they are 14 or 15 minutes long. So again, we'll go straight to the point. And I think one of the first questions that would be good to start with is whether you host online meetings and which platform or which platforms do you use. So while I introduce very briefly this session, please go ahead and type in the chat space whether you organize meetings and which platforms do you use. We saw at the beginning that, for instance, WHO, they use a mix of tools, but I'm curious to see which platforms do you use. So a very brief intro to the session. We will be looking at the platforms, the type of platforms we choose and how we choose them, what questions we're asking ourselves when we come to choose platforms, whether it is related to cost, to the usability, to the functionality, to the other expense, other price-related aspects, etc. I will share a link very shortly with you, which is a link from the Diplo's Conference Tech Lab, where we have a review of all the platforms, or let's say of the main platforms and the different features. Meanwhile, let me just see whether there are actually comments in the chat room. So thanks a lot. Please keep them coming. I'm seeing Microsoft Teams, quite popular. Zoom, I think. Arvin, were we expecting a few more Zooms to appear there?
Yeah, it might be a Zoom fatigue, so people are looking for alternatives, which are also plenty, of course, as we know, and as we presented on our CovTech page.
Exactly. I'm also seeing that our colleagues here use a variety of tools. So there are only a few comments where our colleagues use just one platform. So in the majority of cases, we use a mix. And in fact, even us at Diplo, for instance, we also use various platforms. We have offices from four regions of the world, several staff members working remotely, and so we rely heavily on platforms ourselves, and we use a mix. So I'm seeing, let's go through the list again. Microsoft Teams is still very popular. Skype, I think, is one of the oldest platforms that was in use. WebEx, BlueJeans, Google Hangouts. There's a comment, Erg, Skype. I think that's a comment that's saying something about Skype, but we won't go into that. All right, very good. So quite let's say, a healthy mix of platforms. And I think now, Arvin, shall we move to the second question that we wanted to put out there? And this is in the form of a survey, of a poll.
Yes,
so
this will be in the poll, yes. Sorry,
exactly.
Go ahead.
Colleagues, how do you decide which platform to choose? So just click on...
Us as the moderators will not be able to vote, just not to rig the results, but you as participants can vote, of course. And again, I saw a few of you turned on their cameras. Of course, if you feel free, you can turn on your cameras here also. And while we will wait a couple more seconds for everyone to vote, and then we will show the results.
And the voting is coming in, so.
Okay, I'm ending poll now.
Okay, very good.
And we'll share results. As you can see, analyzing approach is still leading. It's 44%, so people are analyzing. Then recommendations are still high, 29%. Then people use the recommendation services. And Steph, as you see, we have others, so maybe we can tackle on that.
Exactly. Thanks, Arvin. Yes, quite a mix. It seems that no one takes note of adverts. Interesting also. And no one's taking note also of any COVID-19 offers. And there are quite a few, again, on the table. I think, Arvin, we can share actually. We can pop the link here in the chat to our survey from the Contact Lab. But there are quite a few platforms who have COVID-19 plans on offer at the moment. So let's discuss the first three results. So we have analyzing the features. I wonder how much time does that take for you personally, whether you are involved in the selection on behalf of your organization, or whether the review of the features is undertaken by someone else at your organization, and then you just adopt or use the platform that is as part of the organization's policy. So that's the first. The second is recommendation of colleagues or friends, and that's a very interesting thing to see. Because 1/3 of us here base their decisions on recommendations. And this ties in a little bit to the so-called network effect, the fact that certain platforms or certain services become popular because other users are using them. And also the third is because of the perceived popularity of a platform that is also highly linked to the networking effect. I'll pose a question to you, and I invite you, if you like, to switch on the cameras, and we do have a few minutes for voice intervention. So in analyzing the features, what specifically do you look at?
We have also raised hand from Alana Busto. Alana, please, you can unmute your mic and say something. This is a short session, but if you wanted to add something, please do. Or as Stephanie mentioned, we would like to hear your input on how you actually choose the platforms.
Someone has the floor, Arvin?
No, still no one.
So while we have volunteers to make the intervention, Alana says it was an error. No problem, Alana. I'll pick two comments from the chat, which are the first one is from Eric. Eric, we definitely saw your comments in the plenary a few moments ago, and you made very important points regarding accessibility. We took note of that already internally. I can say that we already had a very quick conversation about that, and this is something that we will look more in depth in our next meetings. It is not for want of attention to this aspect, far from it, but certain technical issues, they were a bit of a challenge. But we will definitely take that into account. I wanted to ask you, regarding accessibility specifically, are there any features that you look at? What does accessibility features mean to you? And Sandrine, you mentioned that the choice of the platforms is undertaken by the organization, and this is by your organization, by your vision faculty. And this is a question for everyone. Does your organization have a policy regarding the choice of the platform that you use for work purposes? So please feel free to turn on the microphone or cameras and talk to us, or just type your comments in the chat. No volunteers, no problem.
I'm here, Stephanie.
Oh, hi.
I was hesitating to intervene, but since you read the comments, yes, I think many organizations now, we didn't have a policy until this crisis, but now we've been, I mean, I'm from the Belgian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We've been instructed to, at least when we organize meeting, to use WebEx. Of course, when we are participating in meetings organized by other actors like yourself or others, we are free to use other platforms. But for at least internal discussions, we are using WebEx. And I've heard other diplomatic services who have restrictions for Zoom, at least when they organize meetings. But of course, they can participate in meetings organized by others via Zoom. And maybe just as an information, on the WTO side of things, the first big informal meeting was held via Zoom with interpretation, but they have now switched to Interprify for the next one. And I've heard others also in that direction, so that might be a new platform to look at. Thanks.
Thank you, Sandrine, and thank you also for sharing with us the application that was used. I think, Arvin, this would be useful for the next session, in fact, on the third-party applications to integrate in the chosen platform. Sandrine has shared with us the policy of the Belgian MFA. Colleagues, and I repeat the question for Delphi. Delphi has asked to repeat. The question is whether your organizations, the organizations you work for, have any kind of policy related to the platform that you're asked to choose for your work-related meetings.
Steph, I think that we have another raised hand from Jerome. So Jerome, yes. If you wanted something, just go ahead. We have another minute or so to wrap up, so please go ahead.
Hello, everybody, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. Thanks for this great conference. My question is not directly connected to the question which was just raised, because I'm asking myself exactly that question as to which tools we should use as we prepare for this virtual and inclusive negotiation for the world after COVID-19, which is a project which is underway, working with a team of individuals from international organizations, governments, business, society. And I think the kind of tool that we're looking at is tools that would allow to mix crowdsourcing, because we would like to get the contributions from as many participants as possible for this draft shared humanity charter. Mix of crowdsourcing with maybe artificial intelligence when it comes to analyzing the content that we would get, and then a mix of video conference with potentially hundreds or thousands of people online, with also the possibility with written contributions. So it's where we are now in this search, and obviously we would welcome any advice. We plan to launch hopefully this exercise mid-June, and we're working for that, and would welcome advice from this community now or bilaterally, obviously.
Thank you, Jerome, for that, and I'm glad that you mentioned the AI-related features. In fact, we're seeing AI being used more and more in the platforms. Arvin, I don't know whether you have any reflections on that, but perhaps AI may soon become one of the features that we would look at, or our organizations would look at when choosing a platform.
If I may come in just with an additional element which makes the exercise even more complex, and formerly I was a European diplomat, and I know the importance of languages, working in multiple languages. So the exercise that we're planning to launch would also have to be in as many languages as possible to make it accessible to as many participants as possible from all continents. So that makes it even more complex when it comes to AI and analyzing data from various languages.
Thank you, Jerome, also for that point there. We're close to the end of our time, and this was one of the experiments from this conference today, to try to have pointed discussions with a very, very short time frame. And so I'll just, I think it's time to close, right, Arvin? I'll just maybe summarize a couple of takeaways and also answer Lazary's question. Lazary is regarding the possibilities again. May I point you to the survey that we have at the ConfTech Lab, because in terms of possibilities, there are the various features there that can help you or your organization decide what type of platform to choose from. And I think one of the takeaways is that there may not be only one platform, but several, a mix of platforms that you might need, whether it is for a small group or for larger groups, larger meetings, etc. And in fact, our survey on the ConfTech Lab, that's the starting point. How large is your group? And depending on the size of the group is the choice you would make. So that's regarding the mix. And Eric, thank you for your suggestions regarding accessibility features. We will surely take that up. We have Ginger is one, in fact, of our experts on that. She has been working closely with the accessibility community, accessibility and digital policy. So we'll definitely take that up. At this stage, I think it's time to invite you to join the next session on technology or any of the other tracks. So it's technology with Arvin or the other track. So back to the live link where you can see all the other session descriptions. So thank you. This was fast, but Arvin, floor back to you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Yes, this was the first 15 minutes of a technology track. We heard about tools and how to decide between different tools. And as we can see, there is a platform of new services offering maybe a small niche, or as Jerome pointed out really nicely, maybe a combined answer to crowd working, not just remote online working, but actually asynchronous working also. So for our next session, I will ask our host, our tech help, to put again this slide for our next session. We will have another moderator here with us. And this is Sherna Alexander Benjamin. Sherna, please, will you join us via your audio and video? Hi. Hello, Sherna. Nice to see you.
Hi, Arvin. It's nice to be here, and welcome to everyone.
We do have some problems here. Maybe you should volume up a bit, maybe your microphone. That would be, okay. Yeah, to have it as a...
Are you hearing me much clearer, better?
Yeah, it's a bit better now, thanks. Let me just announce what we're gonna do for this next 15 minutes. Sherna will actually go through some of the apps and tools which can be used as to enrich online meetings. We put here icebreakers, surveys, and animations, but Sherna has a few more ideas. She will let you know now in her presentation, and I will monitor chat. Please ask any questions in chat. As you can see, this is a dynamic session, 15 minutes, but if you have anything to add to Sherna's presentation, please do. We will then at the end focus at your questions and ask. Sherna, the floor is yours.
Hi, once again, I said hello everyone. Now we understand that COVID-19 is presenting great opportunities because together we can create and together we can build a better world. While COVID-19 forever changes how meetings are conducted, we have many questions. Will online meetings become the main mode for future meetings? And what does this mean for individuals and groups who do not have access to the internet? How will this impact our social interactions? Will traditional meetings become archaic, or will humanity and technology create space to coexist for the creation of a socially just, inclusive, technology-driven, and sustainable world? You know, some of these questions we will answer today, some will be continued in future discussions. And with millions of meetings occurring daily, how can we keep our audiences online and in suit, engaged, informed, secure, and heard? So this session will look at apps and tools, icebreakers, surveys, and animations which can be employed to enrich our meetings. So one of the key things that I would like to look at is the purpose of meetings. And whether it's online or in suit, it's to promote inclusion, providing space for unheard voices and providing space for persons with various disabilities. It reduces that one-way communication, creating a participatory approach to dialogue. It builds community, which is in the room, from those participants in the room. It enables active empathy, where it explores the experiences, you know, of others, so we can see their point of view to build on discussions. It enables team building. So for new teams, existing teams, experiencing challenges, changes in leadership and professional development. Purpose for online meetings or in suit for collaboration, coming together for specific purposes. Data collection, knowledge sharing, collecting and sharing information on specific topic areas, and collective intelligence, brainstorming to develop new tools, new ways of knowing and working, assessing existing systems for enhancement, programs or services. So these are just not everything for the purpose of online meetings, but I draw out some of the things from that long list that many others would like to add. Now, to have an effective online meeting and to understand what are the tools that you would need to employ during that meeting, we have to look at the hard tools that are needed. So the use of your microphones, your USB or lavalier or XL microphone to enhance your sound quality. The use of a chroma key green screen, which provides a professional look, as moderators can use any layered background. You know, and this also ties into security, because using that layered background provides a sense of security so that participants are unable to see key items within someone's office or living space. Your tablet, your laptop, and your desktop. Now, going specifically to some of the tools that we would like to speak about that enhances participation, you know, to be used as icebreakers in our meetings.
Sorry, Sharna, what I think we are quite short on time, so we can just continue maybe. Okay. So we can just have a few minutes at the end to actually have a discussion. So let's do it this and discuss with our participants a bit on this this particular presentation. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Yes. So some of the soft tools that can be employed within online meetings and even in-suit meetings is Mentimeter, tools like Mentimeter, Pigeonhole, and Slido, which can be used to create a participatory and engaging meeting space, with features including building interactive presentations, controlling, you know, your presentation with your smartphone, the ability to integrate software across multiple platforms. You know, you're able to own your data, add polls, questions, quizzes, and much more. You know, tools like Microsoft and Google Docs, which provides that online editing feature where groups can come together to work on a draft online in real time. You know, tools such as animations, incorporating those in your meetings, which provide that creative and bring out that creative side of your participants, which would include things like engagement and advocacy. So platforms like Go Animate, Powton, Video, Animaker, and then we have those virtual reality tools, which are referred to as VR, which gives a realistic, real-time environment feeling for collaboration and brainstorming. And such rooms like Meeting Room IO, Roomy, and vSpatial can provide such tools for participation in meetings. Now, considerations before employing tools for your online meeting is to look at the different tools that are available, do a comparison of features, do a comparison of cost to see which is most effective for your particular meeting, which you are planning to conduct. So you, in that process, you look at the purpose of your meeting, gathering, if it's for information sharing, gathering, or information gathering, deliberation, or decision making. You look at the size of your meeting. That will determine, yes, Arvin?
Thanks, Sharon. No, I was just wanting to, sorry to interrupt, but I see that actually the first part on meetings capture our audience a lot, so they want to hear it. They want to hear it again, and just about how to integrate others, for example, polling and other services you mentioned. So if you can go through that just swiftly in 1 minute, and then I will sort it out. We heard from our participants that your voice is still a bit low, so if you can just a bit louder, just mention this couple of tools, and maybe we can have a short question from audience if there is anyone.
Okay, so those soft tools that you can employ within your online or in-suite meetings are tools like Mentimeter, Pigeonhole, Slido, which can be used to create a participatory and engaging meeting space. The tools can be used for a variety of purposes, and some tools are more robust than others. Their features include, as I said, building interactive presentations, using your smartphone to actually control your presentation, the ability to integrate software across multiple platforms, importing of your presentations. Most key is owning your data. You're able to export your data for further analysis after the event has ended, and for future analysis on the progress of audience participation and so forth. You know, quizzes, and also the ability to include those virtual rooms for that realistic type of feeling and environment to communicate with your fellow participants. And
Yes.
So as I was speaking about some of the things to consider. Yes, Arvin?
Thanks, Sharon. Maybe to have it's a short session. We try to keep it dynamic. Yes. So just, we can't actually write everything down in a chat. So I just want to make one announcement. Presentation with all of this which Sharon is now presenting will be available to you. And we will be sending to you with the specific tools. Of course, time constraints are not letting us to show you anything of those tools. But if you have yes, Tracy, as you can see, Sharon is wearing a microphone, but it might be a bit of lower audio. Let's thank you so much also. And if anyone have something to add via voice, please let us hear you, see you. Let us talk a bit for a minute or so we can wrap up this discussion. I will at the end announce what's going next. Do we have anyone who would like to maybe join us, video, audio, and ask something in particular to Shurna or myself regarding these tools? You can raise your hand, you can unmute or start talk. That's okay. 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 Yes, I'm sure you're well aware of thanks. So, okay, no one. I see something in the chat. So let me just address these few questions in the chat so we can do a wrap up for this session. I see Laura is saying, what do you think about Poly for online polls? Of course, online polls are now large field, and there is many services that can be used. We mentioned Mentimeter, but or Slide, but Poly is also powerful, a powerful tool. Also, there is a feature, let's say, service called Tally, which is also quite good for voting, for online polls, etc. Integration with other, yes, integration is possible. With almost all apps, you can integrate them into your WebEx accounts or into your Zoom accounts or whatever account you're using. Often there is integration with Google, of course. Google services, if you're using Gmail or your organization is using Gmail across the organization. Microsoft is still, they're not so good at the integration side, but they will be there. They put a lot of resources into the enhancing online participation tools. And how can, let's see, the last one, how can we integrate multimedia interaction to virtual meetings? Okay, so Tracy, as you saw, and you can see it on our conference website, we also broadcast every of this room, all 6 different rooms are broadcasted, etc. There are 3 ways kind of to say. Multimedia can, of course, be introduced via prepared messages that can be constructed, created by a creative lab or something like that. You can also, I would not recommend actually use some kind of YouTube and other links because that might have problems with copyright. Of course, that's one thing to think about it when you go live. Showing videos. To clarify, let's see what Tracy is saying, not just showing videos, but building into section structures. Again, there is how can I say, a lot of tools that will enable you to actually make graphics, and then that graphics or videos you can transform into your online service with whatever your service you're using. So in a nutshell, I think we will have to wrap up here now. I will call now for other tech help in this room to show us a slide. First of all, I would like to say thanks to Sherna for this great presentation and preparation. I see Sherna was quite vivid, quite prepared for this meeting, and she was one of our students for the online meeting in diplomacy course. So with that, I will call you now to, of course, go to a short coffee break. Coffee break is also on a conference website, so main navigation is there. We will wait for you here in a technology room after your coffee break with 2 more interesting presentations on IE and additional tools like VR and others which can be used for the future of online meetings. So you can stay with us here in this room and wait, of course, for this short break. Or you can go to, as you can see now in the chat room, meetings.diplomacyedu/live, from which you can navigate to other thematic rooms or other thematic discussions. And thank you all. See you in 10-15 minutes from now. Thanks, Sherna, once again. And we see the moderator for next session. Our next session is here in the room. This is, of course, Jovan Kurbalija, and Jovan will talk about something really, really interesting, which is artificial realities. You might heard about that. He will talk in particular on holographic technologies, virtual augmented realities, and other emerging tech that can actually enhance videos and enhance online participation. I will mute a couple of your mics, but during the session, of course, you will be able to unmute and interact as our moderator will call you. So, Jovan, we can start.
Sure.
Go ahead.
we'll start without
Stop
wasting.
sharing.
Yeah, I'll share the screen with basically one. I guess you can see it well. No?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. I'll just pose a few underlying elements for our discussion today. It's great to have you here on this technology track. We're now, after the platform and apps, we are now moving towards, let's say, artificial and augmented reality and holograms. And after that, we'll have discussion on artificial intelligence, as Arvin said. Now, virtual reality tools are not that new. They existed a long time ago. In 2008, we used to host virtual Diplomacy Island in Second Life. And I'll just play one of the introductory videos, which you can find on our website on virtual Diplomacy Island. This was the second house of Sweden. I'll just move it a bit forward, stop it here. There was a competition between Maldives and Sweden, who would be the first to open the embassy in the Second Life. And with our help, Maldives was the first. Their embassy wasn't as elaborate as a Swedish, which cost at that time, I think, something like $200,000, this building. Ours was very simple embassy of Maldives, which we created in the second life, and I think they got into the Guinness Book of Records. But this is the Swedish. There is Annenberg Island. There were different activities in the Diplomacy Island, which we hosted. As you can see, there were exhibitions. I have to admit that after 12 years, I'm still surprised that there are no more advanced features in let's say, here we recreated the Hofburg Palace in Vienna, which was the host of Vienna Congress 200 years ago. It was recreated quite nicely to make this parallel between old and current diplomacy. You can see here different images, and there were graduation sessions, there were book exhibitions, and there were quite a few activities in the Diplomacy Island in Second Life. Now, the experiment of Second Life failed, but like all experiments in digital technology, it left the trace, and it left the possibilities that things can be done that way. And now we have Mozilla with their initiative of Spaces. There were quite a few initiatives. Obviously, the problem is a bandwidth. The problem is a processing power. Therefore, what we can expect is a next breakthrough in the virtual reality over the next 1 to 2 years, and possibility for recreating something like we had at this Diplomacy Island 12 years ago. But what is even more interesting is augmented reality. Augmented reality means introduction of the digital tools into the reality of in-situ meetings. In the context of these hybrid meetings, where we need interplay between online and digital, there will be online and physical. There will be a lot of activities in this field. Pokemon Go was one of the first signals how you integrate something which is on your mobile with something which is around you in physical reality. Therefore, next generations of the meeting rooms, traditional meeting rooms of the UN and the EU, will probably have more elements of that augmented reality integration. Currently, we have a standard screen, a touchable screen, interactive screens, the WebEx and the other things, but there will be elements for more advanced integration seamless integration into the meetings themselves. And obviously, there is a hologram technology, which is quite advanced technology, becoming more and more affordable, but still not affordable on the level that it can be used without any difficulties. Based on the other technologies that have been introduced over the last, let's say, 20 years, we can predict with a quite sort of confidence that technological bandwidth and other problems will be overcome, and hologram will be one of the features. Therefore, I would like to position our discussion today around these three elements: virtual reality, we saw in Second Life; augmented reality, changing the way how meeting spaces are organized in situ and online; and third one, use of holograms. This is my suggestion for today. We have extra 7-8 minutes to map this field and to then dive deeper into research, analysis, and development of tools in the follow-up to today's conference. The floor is yours. Let me see. I'm seeing a few comments in the chat. Hello, everyone. Okay, Diplo, Mohammed Kalmi. Okay. And Arvin, any comment, input on this three elements: virtual reality, augmented reality, and holograms? Floor is yours. I guess you raise your hand, or you just chat, or you just start speaking.
Yes, for my friends, please raise your hands as we did last time, or you can just turn on your microphone and start talking.
Okay. Over to you.
We see the first comment, Jovan, in chat from Michael. Is there a real need? This might explain why it's not developed yet, he's arguing. And regarding these three, artificial reality, virtual reality, can we call it a mixed reality, or is likely to emerge in the near future? From Tracy.
Well, Michael, there's always great questions from Michael throughout our course and the whole interaction, which is a need-based discussion. Do we need that? Probably not yet, but we didn't need online meetings, let's say 2 or 3 years ago. They were more fashionable element, exercised in Internet Governance Forum in closed circles. Now they're a matter of reality. Why I think that it will emerge faster is because of the change of generation. You have a new generation, which is basically, I would say, our kids, who are growing into deeply immersed into gaming, into virtual reality, and they will start coming, I don't know what generation it is, I lost the track, not X, millennials, whatever we call them. They will start entering the mainstream society, having families, running a professional business. They will come with different, I would say, framing of reality, which will be more virtual, augmented reality friendly than, I'd say, my generation, or I guess most of us here in the room. There will be there will be push element, simpler technology, cheaper, easier, and there will be stronger pull element, which is the next generation of, in our case, diplomats. Then Tracy, artificial plus virtual is mixed reality. That's or augmented reality to some extent is likely to emerge in near future. Mixed reality has been successful to create interactive documents, interactive infographics effectively. And that's probably something which will be happening a lot. But I think this underlying dynamics will be push affordable technology, seamless technology, easily integrated, and pull next generation of kids coming from the gaming framework and thinking and the other developments. Pokemon Go was one example how younger generation just clicked on that and basically embraced it easily. And that's one of the key elements that we should keep in mind. Now, while we are monitoring this push and pull process, we have to see what is happening. How does it affect profession? How does it affect meeting dynamics, emotions? How does it affect key functions of diplomacy, drafting, voting, making statements? That monitoring will have to be done carefully in order not to be driven by technology itself or naivety of the younger colleagues that this type of technology will be silver bullets for the problems of world peace and other developments. Okay, Tali Nates, University of Southern California, developed a new dimension in testimony that is very innovative way of asking questions, getting answers from survivors of genocide and mass atrocities, for example. Thank you, Tali. We will include this into the summary of the session for people to visit. I haven't visited this tool. There are quite a few chat boxes tools that are now developed through this. It seems that companies are, after the failure of Second Life, which was the failure, basically they're quite cautious in entering this field. Mozilla is doing an interesting experiments with Mozilla Spaces, which are more comic-like driven, not trying to recreate human shape and the space like Second Life did. But this is one definitely interesting experiment of concrete use and use for the important issue of the answer from survivors of genocide and mass atrocities. Thank you for sharing this with us. Okay. You see what is my almost augmented reality with my building behind me, which I'm going to visit, I hope, next week. There will be the end of the lockdown here in Geneva. Tracy, once we get equipment costs down to a level to ensure ambiguous use, the tech will spread rapidly. Artificial IR lenses or Instagram snapshot are showing the possibilities. We have to be careful when you mentioned their lenses. One sort of technology, which is example that new technology is not used immediately, even if it is powerful. Those are so-called Google glasses with cameras. You know that technology was developed about something like almost 8 years or 10 years ago. But after a few incidents, predominantly in public toilets, which you can imagine what use it was, the Google restrained from sharing it publicly and broadly, and it is used now more into, let's say, medical profession, just to record the operations or the emergency situations and other tools. Probably in the virtual reality and hologram and this technology, the question is, can it be done? Technologically will be more complemented with the question, should we use it? That interplay will be critical interplay, not only can technologically, but also should we use it. Now, what I suggest that we close this session on this and with the summary of 3 points: virtual reality, augmented reality, holograms. In the follow-up to our conference today, you will receive from us the summary and the maps of the next step that we'll be using in order to discuss in particular this question, should we use it? Can we use it? We'll be developing regardless our sort of input. And we'll share this link from Tali on the testimony. Send us all other links of the virtual or augmented reality or holograms that you find it useful. Thank you very much. And I pass the floor back to Arvin.
Yeah, I need to unmute, of course. Thanks, Johan. Thanks for this overview on virtual reality, augmented reality, and holograms. And as Tracy mentioned, this might be maybe a unique overarching field in the future, which is interaction with some kind of virtual or unreal stuff that can be used in online meetings, for example, virtual classrooms or virtual meeting rooms at the very end. So for the fourth session of this technology track, and you can see it now on your screen as an announcement on this banner, we will talk about something topic which is quite popular nowadays, of course, artificial intelligence. We will talk particularly on other advanced meeting technologies. And for this particular session, I have a guest host also with us, Michael Allenhoff, who will, Michael, please join us, who will actually lead this session in a moderation. I will be here to again track your questions in the chat and help Michael if there is anything. The idea is, again, as this session, as for the last one, we will have a short presentation, we will have few questions for you, and then we will start engaging in discussion with the wrapping up at the end. Again, please, if you want, you can turn on your camera so we can see it. Michael, the floor is yours.
Yes, hi everybody. I'm Michael Andenhoff. So I'm a Belgian diplomat. Actually, I just want to introduce myself briefly, as I work on cyber diplomacy. And cyber diplomacy, like the topic of this whole conference, actually combines two new realities. You have on the one hand, or two realities. You have the one hand, the physical reality that we all know, and as diplomats that we've been working on for a long time. And you also have this other dimension of cyberspace. And integrating those two dimensions is actually the core of my task. And actually what you see here and what we're discussing now here in this new type of conference, which actually I really find very enriching. I've already taken myself some notes and things I'm going to take back to our ministry as well, is to see how you have to integrate both of them. And technology is clearly something that will help and that could help. So my question in the previous session to Jovan was, of course, a little bit provocative as well, to see what kind of discussion this could bring. But I also am convinced, and as we saw in another session today, that this might actually help us in terms of inclusiveness and in other ways as well, to enhance our experience of meetings. And anyone who has been in a UN meeting for a whole day can really be can convince you that something can be improved. Now, there are different types of technology, of course. There are different tasks that they have, different roles that they have. Typically, you have technologies that on the one hand would augment what actually we are doing already nowadays, that would actually help us in doing certain jobs, and other ones that are really automating certain jobs that we are doing. So you have these two main roles that actually exist for artificial intelligence in particular, but then other applications that use or are based on artificial intelligence. And then you have, as in the whole debate on AI, you have these very closed, very specific types of AI that do specific tasks, and then other ones who could really be more engaging and would even be contributing something from themselves to a meeting. So these elements exist. For example, in Zoom, you can already integrate a chatbot that you can ask certain questions to. We didn't do it today because definitely there would have been glitches, I think. But it is one big experiment for the moment, actually. And yeah, we're all learning by doing. And I think that as this conference is trailblazing a little bit, we all have to do it now and see and test what technology actually is and whether it could actually have some contribution. Now, to see how you think about this, we've prepared a few polls, and I would like to invite you to answer these polls, and then to see what's your feeling about technology in meetings. Is it something that you think is useful, for example? And I think that is actually the question for the first poll, is whether you believe technology will offer a lot of added value to our meetings. It's a simple yes or no question. So please, let's give you all a few seconds to see whether it's actually, I see that half of you. Yeah, sorry, Arvin.
Unanimous. We will put 20 seconds for you to vote, but we can see kind of what's going on right now. But let's just see a few more seconds, and I will end polling and show the results. From 27 now, people vote. Okay, end polling, and I'm sharing results now with you. Look at this.
So this is quite impressive. So actually, everyone who participated in this poll believes that technology has an added value, will offer an added value to us. So yeah, this is actually quite interesting, and we already saw a few discussions in the margins or in the chat today. For example, in terms of accessibility, there was a certain dynamic ongoing. People who were asking questions, why is it not included? So you could think of, for example, speech-to-text contribution to be certain that also deaf people could be following everything. There's on different negotiations there might be developments as well. So a question I have myself actually is whether this dynamic is changed, because we see now clearly 100% of you who are agreeing with this statement. Whether this has changed because of the actual crisis that we're living through today. Was it already something you were feeling beforehand, or do you see nowadays, yeah, we actually need it because we're all locked in our houses? So feel free to answer this in the chat. And I would propose perhaps to go to a next question. We have actually prepared a total of 3 questions, and we'll see whether we can follow through on all of them. So the next question I would like to ask you, and you see it on your screen now, is what is the most promising way that artificial intelligence can actually enhance our meetings? Now, there are different roles, things that it can do. It's like in terms of moderation, making sure that the right content is seen, that there's no offensive content, for example. In terms of timekeeping, that actually the role that even I or Arvin is doing now, that you would give this to an artificial intelligence. The participation, like I said beforehand, a chatbot who you could ask questions to and who might give an answer directly into the meeting. Logistical services, the automatic translation, text-to-speech, the reporting at the end of the session. And I think that a lot of diplomats would be very happy with this, because this would lighten their job a lot. Over those who don't know, actually, but yeah, good coffee, for example, could already be a good start.
Okay, I will close this poll now so we can see the results. I can share results with you now. Well, overwhelming 89% to logistics services, of course, which are already quite developed and are kind of a next frontier for all of the AI companies and all of the services which are involved in online participation at all. We heard from, for example, I mentioned the Zoom integration or any other integration. There are author services, stream text services, other apps which are pushing hard to text-to-speech reporting and automatic translations. Thanks, Michael. To you, back to you.
Yeah, so it's quite clear. So we only have. I found it interesting that you have 2 people who actually said that moderation could be improved with AI. I don't take it personally, but I think it's in certain circumstances it might actually help a lot to have an artificial intelligence program that would help you out. Now, what I wonder as well is, what do you think are the main limiting factors actually for this not to happen more broadly? Because if we look around us nowadays, AI is already everywhere. Whether we're using Facebook or other types of programs, is the only thing is that people don't realize it entirely, that this is driven to a large extent by AI. So to have this on board in a meeting, I don't know whether the circumstances are actually right to do so, and whether people would really accept it. So my feeling is, from answering your first question and a second poll now, that actually you are more positive about this. So that's quite clear. Now, another element, and you see already on your screen the third poll actually, another element was actually whether physical meetings and online meetings, whether they should be merged, could be merged, and how it's best done then. So we are already using Zoom and other platforms nowadays, so do we need to improve them further? Are they sufficient already as they are? And so can there be a lot more added value from them? Could we use virtual reality or holograms, things that were just discussed in the previous session with Jovan? So yeah, let's hear what you have to say. It would be good to have as many answers as possible, because I see some diversity already in the answers, so that could be interesting.
Okay, I will end polling now and show the results. Here I am. I'm sharing results with you guys. So, further development of meeting platforms, of course, large 52% virtual reality, third place 15% for people holograms. Holograms are really exciting technology that might be on the verge of actually happening. And other ideas, let's hear about other ideas. Michael.
Yeah, please, if you want, the person who answered the other idea, I would be very keen to hear more about this. I'm also intrigued by the number of people who answered positively on holograms, because this is still science fiction to a large extent for a lot of people in their mindset. So the fact that already 8 people here in this group found this to be a promising or even a preferred way to integrate them, that's quite interesting. So feel free in the comments or to raise your hand to share some ideas on this.
Yes,
I
please
hope holograms.
Go ahead, Carlos.
Yes, I hope holograms come, because I think it will change completely the way that we meet. In the way that today, for example, I have 3 meetings, and I have a telephone.
And other people's calling. I mean, it's like. Carlos, please unmute.
Like, I have 3 meetings at the same time. I could be in 2 meetings. Like, this is my point today. I have 3 meetings this afternoon, so I have a right to, in some way, say to others, no, I can't go there because I'm engaged. But in the future, if there is a hologram, I could be in 3 places at the time. I don't need to be physically, because then I could listen the record and take the notes and make my file. You see? So it will change our way to be in meetings in the way that we don't need to be presentially, because the hologram or the avatar, or how we want to call it, will be there. So he will be getting the information we need. And then my job will be behind to take the necessary, the important thing, and put it in the right place. But I think this will be phenomenal. This will be fantastic. Could you imagine? You have 3 meetings, one in India, one in United States, and one here, and you could cover the 3 at the same time. It would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that. But don't you think as well that we already can do this to a large extent with the meeting platforms we have nowadays? Even like, for example, what you are doing now, as and me as well. During these sessions, we are in the same time we are using our phones, or even in physical meetings today, we are using our phones and other things. It would be impossible to be active the whole time in 3 meetings. Otherwise, it would be bots and not holograms, I think.
But I think this is the way where we go. We're going versus augmented reality. So in some point, if we do the logic way, we go the hologram and the augmented reality and we put it together, then we could have like I don't know, some kind of cloud memory where all the meetings are stuck, and then you just go in there to pick up the information you need. Because the question that I put to you today is how many meetings we are there just to do physical presence.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
How many? I mean, sometimes I'm invited to meetings where the only thing that they ask is my presence. I have not a word to say. I have not an opinion to give. I have not a negotiation to drive. I just must be there. Yes. But if in the future we have a hologram that has Carlos Polo image and can go to the meeting and be there and listening and record and put everything on some kind of container where I will go later and ask it and take what I need. Could you imagine it? I mean, it really enhances our possibility to be. So that we could be in Africa and in Europe and in Latin America at the same time.
Yep. Oh, thank you. That's really interesting. I also see in our chat that Mohammed is actually saying that physical presence is more efficient than virtual meeting. I think that on its own deserves already a whole new discussion. But I don't know, Arvin, how we are on time actually.
We will have just a few minutes, if you can, Michael, to wrap up discussion. But I will give floor if anyone else would like to join or have a comment, questions. So if there is anyone, can please unmute. You have 30 seconds or so. Some of your impressions, especially on this, which Michael mentioned, is kind of what is the most promising way for AI to enhance our meetings and what we just discussed. If not, I would then give Michael floor to you to kind of wrap it up. And
Okay.
after that I will announce the further steps. Thanks.
Okay, good. I just see one last question from Delphi as well. Who said he's talking about the math issue in VR. I'm very sorry, but I am only a diplomat, so I know a little bit about a lot of things, but not a lot more. But it's probably one of the issues that's still at play. Indeed. Just to wrap up, so then I'm very pleased actually to hear that everybody who answered the poll here believes that technology could play an important role in the future. That's quite promising, and that AI, as we use it in meetings, will be mainly, we see the added value mainly for supporting us in what we are doing. Now, a way forward of integrating, because we will move in one way or the other to some kind of hybrid meetings. I think about half of you are thinking that it would be good to further develop platforms like Zoom, but we also see quite some discussion and openness on other elements, on VR, holograms, for example, and to see what they could offer. This will, without any doubt, as we have seen with, for example, the remark of Mohammed, raise a lot of discussion yet, and I think we will see a lot of things change in the near future with a lot of debates that it will spark and new meetings on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael, for this great wrap up. If there is anything, I see also another question in chat with Mohammed. Is it essential to use in our lives? Of course, AI is really essential will be essential in life. Still, it is right now, but it will be. And meetings are also a big part of our being, kind of say, even the private meetings, etc. We know that AI is from Google search till the clever chatbots. We couldn't quite get into it. And with this, I would conclude the fourth session. I will ask our tech moderator, it can show us a short coffee break, of course. After this session, please go to on our conference page, Future Meetings Live, and from there you go to another coffee break for 15 or so minutes, and we will readjourn in the main hall. We will readjourn in the main hall for the closing of this conference, and please stay with us. Thank you all for participating in this great discussion. We heard from Stephanie, Sherna, Jovan, and Michael in this fourth session. Hope this was helpful for you, and we will discuss more in plenary session and closing of this conference. So I invite you now for a coffee break, of course, and then navigate from our page to main hall and the closure of this conference. Thanks again for your comments. There was quite a comments. We will check that in the chat and send you, and of course send you a follow-up with the recording of this session. So maybe you can see it later. Thanks again, and see you first on a coffee break, and then see you on a close-up and wrap-up of the conference. Thank you all.